The art of silence. We've spoke of meditations of every kind, which there are infinite, and prayer as being a form of meditation. We see the great importance of slowing down and pausing to reflect and think before we speak. So we may be consciously connected with our intuition that's consciously connected to the whole cosmos, our whole self. The larger energy field that this smaller energy field is operating within. One of the top resources that helped aid this person in them fully awakening is the movie The Secret by Rhonda Byrne, a documentary teaching us about quantum physics and the law of attraction. Later, finding so many other resources, and even before finding the documentary The Secret, finding the documentary What the Bleep Do We Know? And just accessing local libraries where it's free to borrow these resources is where this person got their start, as well as neighbors and family and friends opening up and sharing the resources that helped them. So this is why we knew we must develop something that gets the conversation going, but more importantly, gets the helpful resources flowing to us all as we open our minds more to the possibility of us, the inevitability of us all awakening. Some of us more quickly, some of us more slowly, and we're always patient and loving and compassionate to those who take more time, as we know we have eternal time, as energy cannot be created or destroyed. We always have been and always will be, whether we be animating a physical form, moving through physical forms, or outside of our physical forms. The forms we collectively have created and continue to create since the Big Bang of our singularity of energy. All the science, quantum physics, quantum mechanics, study all the science. And when homeschooling and the education system changes to include more science and spirituality and seeing the total connection between the two, we have already scientifically proven who, how, and what we are. There are religions that have some good things to say, but actions always speak louder than words, and our vibes speak louder than our actions. Often we can be silent. We don't have to say or do anything. When we're in meditation and we're vibing pure love energy to the entire cosmos, our entire whole self, We are creating a higher vibration within ourselves as a whole, extending and expanding more love and kindness to all ourself, moving outside of, through, and in physical form. We have the ultimate love and kindness for our whole self on micro and more macro levels. From within, so without. What we create within our own physical thoughts, feelings, behaviors, by connecting to the metaphysical or more non-physical. Metaphysical is that connection, that bridge between the physical thoughts and feelings and behaviors and our non-physical thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. To have the wisdom to know the difference between what we truly intend to have for our life and what the ego is intending to have for our life. If you haven't already watched the previous 24 videos of this series, and you feel intuitively inspired to, intuitively driven to, with that gut or chest feeling that says, I want to have a more open mind and look up more resources and listen to someone other than my own egoic thoughts and feelings. Perhaps in the comments below, you'll find the resources that intuitively pop for you as more people share what has helped them in the comments below the videos. We find freedom so quickly as we engage in more free giving, freely giving our services and lending and borrowing and freely trading and exchanging goods and services without having to keep tally or track. There's no more keeping score because we know everything works out fairly because we're all treating our individual micro self with love and care and fairness, and we're treating all other life, human and all non-human life, with love, care, and fairness. We give more of the land back to the millions of other species that are non-human and need habitat, need natural habitat to thrive and help the planet as a whole thrive for us all as one ecosystem, one planet with an ebb and flow that is meant to be naturally given, freely given by all life, including the energetic life sustaining this planet's humanoid species and all planets' humanoid species, everything. It's just working through the egos of the humanoid species so that we get back to our nature as the rest of nature is naturally at. More and more we see we are all getting back to our nature, our roots, And we are eternally happy, joyous, and free with love and forgiveness being the key. Throughout this series, we have talked about ego. And to summarize what that looks like, to summarize in the best words in this language, English, on this planet, for it to make the most sense to more people, is to say our ego is the physical part of these physical brains that creates all ill thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. So multiple physical parts throughout the physical brain that may engage in ill thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, whether it be as a victim or the perpetrator, the one perpetuating the ill behaviors onto others. In victim mentality, we are ill. We are depressed, angry, anxious, and afraid. In perpetrator mentality, we are ill. We are violent. We are angry. We are fearful. We're taking our fears and anger out on others, other parts of us, outside of our own self. We get selfish and self-centered with greediness of hoarding and taking rather than freely giving and loving. Our nature is the consciousness beyond physical brain and the chemicals and the networks that are established there based on genetics and our environmental upbringing, nature and nurture. When we study all facets, all areas of life, including physical life and physical humanoid life, specifically when we're in a humanoid body, to better understand the body we are in. As humanoids, we need a deeper understanding of how these physical bodies work in order to best balance how we, as the energy sustaining the body, operates in the most harmonious, balanced way with physical, metaphysical, and energetic levels of our being while we sustain a physical body, all being centered and balanced. And having healthy, balanced lives in physical humanoid forms, we research the best evidence-based practices to aid these physical bodies and brains. When there's mental and emotional illness in the physical brain, parts of the physical brain that we refer to as ego, creating all suffering on all levels, in thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. All physical suffering, because there is no real suffering experienced outside of physical form. Unless we attach to the suffering from our past time in physical form, in physical time. So if our energy attaches to physical experiences from other physical bodies we have animated in the past, as birds, as fish, as humans, as trees, whatever, when we attach to the pain and suffering, we're more attached to ego, we're more attached to physical, we're more attached to an imbalance where we're giving more energy to the thoughts and feelings that physical is supreme. And when we give more energy in thinking and feeling to the idea that physical is supreme over our energy, our true self, we suffer with all forms of addiction and ill thinking, feeling, and behaving. And when we study criminal behavior, such as pedophilia and rape, sexual offenders, and other types of offenders who are stealing, lying, manipulating, all these ill behaviors that come from ill thought and feeling, it is a cycle that can cycle through our genetics and or our physical body in its present experiences in this present physical body. So it can stem from both past physical experiences in past physical bodies, as well as present physical experiences in present physical bodies. This is why so many people have fears and phobias of things they may have never even encountered in their present physical form, but they're terrified of the possibility of encountering it because in a past physical form they encountered it in a very scary way, like as a zebra being eaten by a lion. Having more phobia and severe extreme fear of lions could be a result of that, for example. The more we wake up to who we are and where we've been and where we are and where we're going, and we find all of this through the power of now and being more present with ourself as one whole cosmic self, one whole singularity of energy, we look more beyond our individual pocket part of the whole. We look more beyond the physical, egoic thoughts and feelings that lead to ill behavior. And we heal. We evolve to see that part of our evolution was to go through all these lessons learned with ill thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, to see the difference between illness and wellness, to clearly have the wisdom to know the difference between what is ill and what is well, what is sick and what is healthy, within the physical way of us being true to ourself. which always comes back to love. 100% pure love is what we truly are and how we truly are. And it's the wholeness of our one self, one love. And we, in knowing this, want all life that is created equal to be treated equal. We begin to treat all life equally. 100% pure forgiveness for everything that has been, is, and will be. And when the illness is a victim mentality with post-traumatic stress disorder and all these other anxieties and disorders and fears and triggers from the past, we treat PTSD with the best evidence-based practices like eye movement desensitization reprocessing therapy as one example. For depression and anxiety and so many other things that are upsetting us, dialectical behavioral therapy, mindfulness, any and all forms of meditations, exercise, nutrition, Ayurvedic nutrition, individualized treatment, seeing that our physiology, the physical level, is different for each person, but on the non-physical, our true self level, we are all connected as one whole self at the most macro level of expanding our consciousness. The conscious expansion is inevitable for all of us to receive at some point or another, whether it be in our present form or a future form in our eternal life. We are eternal life energy moving in form, through forms, and out of form. It has always been that we were out of form prior to the Big Bang, and ever since the Big Bang, now we, parts of our whole self, now have the opportunity to create physical forms and sustain those forms as long as we want to through eternity, infinite time and space. The cosmos ever expanding as much as we consciously choose to expand it or retract it, with all the energy always existing, because energy cannot be created or destroyed. It always has been and always will be. We always have been and always will be. We see past these cells, molecules, and atoms. We see that without energy, there are no cells, molecules, or atoms. Energy is the sustainer of all life, and humanoid species were created to be the caretakers of the physical life on the planets they are presently inhabiting. This is how we initially designed our conscious ideas for physical creation before our Big Bang. We remember, and more of us are remembering every day. Right now, in December 2021, we are taking a rocket ship into conscious awakening into 2022. We are evolving at such a rapid pace right now. It is incredible to observe it as the witness of all that is. We are all the witness of all that is, because we are all part of all that is. and we can all witness every part of ourself. We do this through daily meditation, daily yoga, daily tai chi, daily what works for the individual to slow down, and daily healthy eating that's also individualized through Ayurvedic nutrition, food as medicine, keeping it simple, healthy, clean water, and being part of bringing these things to all life on this planet that we are presently inhabiting and are the caretakers of. So, quick sec back to wanting the best treatment for people who are mentally ill, emotionally ill, sick in some way, be it physical, mental, and emotional, and or emotional. We've all gone through some sort of illness. This person has went through mental, emotional, and physical illnesses throughout their time up to this point, and they're now realizing they don't have to choose suffering anymore. They can choose health, and love heals all. They know this now. They are a wiser healer. They are a more open-minded person, and their mind gets reminders sometimes that ego is still there. Their awareness sees ego creeping up in them sometimes. And when we say ego, again, we are referring to anything such as anger, resentment, depression, anxiety, sick thoughts of revenge, or acts towards others that would harm them in some way, or acts towards their personal physical self that would harm them in some way. And in studying psychology, in studying forensics, in experiencing a lot of encounters with criminal behavior, and the lack of remorse and guilt, particularly in psychopaths, and then you have your, it's just all physical. That's just all egoic physical stuff. Point is, those psychopaths are just as equally created and awesome and powerful as their victims. Outside of physical form, we're all part of the same whole, equally created parts. So in knowing this, it's much easier to forgive every part of ourselves, no matter what they've ever done, no matter what we've ever done through other physical forms in infinite past bodies as well. We've all had a part in the chaos, and now through our evolution, we are all evolving and rising up together to free ourselves from the bondage of ego, the bondage of the egoic self, the I, selfish self. We are freeing ourselves from that self, that selfish self, that isolating, depressed, anxious, vengeful, violent, resentful, ill-thinking, feeling, and doing self. We are freeing ourselves from that self. That is conscious evolution. We are returning to ourself as we were before the Big Bang. We are treating the inmates with the best evidence-based practices for sex offending, such as sexual behavioral therapists who specialize in treating sex offenders, and in knowing that often sex offenders do have less remorse and guilt than other types of offenders, a lot of the research has pointed to this, then we know that they need to be put in a different building and treated with different evidence-based treatments than the other offenders. We want to provide the best treatment for all illness, all mental, emotional, and physical illness. And in seeing that we have all the answers in how to do this, we know for the victims with PTSD and depression and anxieties, we have the best evidence-based treatments, and we're providing them as best we can to the victims. More and more we see we need to be doing the precisely same thing, equal awesome treatment towards those who committed those ill behaviors towards those victims. We forgive them for their trespasses, for their crimes or whatever. Whatever they've done, we forgive them and say, we know you're ill, and we would like to help you with the best evidence-based treatment at a sexual behavior clinic, or have sexual behavior specialists come into the facility that houses those types of offenders. Because we are all created equal outside of physical form. But to make it interesting, these physical forms are created with uniquenesses and differences. And even at the level of criminal behavior, different types of criminals have different ways of thinking, feeling, and behaving. So the more psychology we not only study, but listen to and actually do something with it, then the more everyone is getting the best treatment for whatever ails them mentally or emotionally, as well as physically. Because mental and emotional, physical brain that gets caught up in ill thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, and obsessing over things and getting addicted to things, all that illness is healed through loving care. We take care in providing the best treatment to all, no matter what they've done, because we have more understanding. Like the St. Francis prayer says, we seek to understand rather than be understood. And we do suggest, if you've never heard the St. Francis prayer before, it is an excellent prayer as far as prayers go. One of this person's favorites anyways. And that's just it. We can share our resources, share our favorite prayers, our favorite mantras, our favorite meditations, our favorite hiking trails. There are some great videos all over the internet, including YouTube, which shows people adventuring, tiny house living, adventuring on different hiking trails and lakes, and the leave no trace camping, where we get out in nature, yet we leave no trace that humans were there. We respect nature. And We respect all forms of nature, every part of ourself. We have fun. We have so much fun when we are focused on love and respect and kindness. We have so much fun when we seek and find and actively engage in the solutions for all life, starting with the individual personal level. Which means when we're having ill thoughts and feelings, we seek help before we act on those ill thoughts and feelings. We prevent ourself from becoming said sex offender or other type of offender of any ill behavior, because we're open to talking about it and receiving people as they are, and in having already discovered best evidence-based treatments at this point. There's loads of best evidence-based treatment for all types of people, including sex offenders. It's just a matter of us providing the treatment, actively participating in all the solutions for all life. This is our conscious shift within physical form. This is how we are creating heaven, paradise on earth, Eden, whatever, earth, Mother Earth, whatever we want to call it. And we see past the words, we see past the pronouns, we see past all of the physical, verbal diarrhea, so to speak. And we simply research and connect the dots. Like Deepak Chopra teaches, synchronicity, synchrodestiny, all coincidences have meaning. When we connect the dots, we see the meaning of all life. On the micro individual level of where we're at, and on the more macro levels, bigger, larger community levels, global scale, road to happy destiny, with our conscious awakening, ever expanding beyond that global scale. We got this. We got this. And it's glorious. It's beautiful to see so clearly that what we are doing right now, how we are being in more meditation, how we are being more at peace and in joy and love, and what we're physically doing when we're out in the world, in our communities, helping our neighbors, it expands so exponentially fast that before we know it, this planet is a part of intergalactic peace. Because this galaxy is already nearly at interplanetary peace within this one galaxy. There's other planets, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly, all of us get there. And some other planets in this galaxy have already achieved global peace. And that's awesome. We congratulate them. There's no envy or jealousy or competition. We know that we're all getting there at our own pace. There's no winners or losers because we're all winners. We're all one singular consciousness awakening among different parts of our whole self. And when we don't just hear the words, but we see it and feel it and hear it all clairvoyantly and through clairaudience, and our intuition senses and feels and everything at such a strong level of knowing, we're free. Knowing that we are free. We have always been free and we will always be free. We gave ourself, each bit of ourself, free will right from the beginning of that Big Bang. Free will to be, do, and have, think, feel, and behave however we choose in physical forms and moving out of physical forms. Sometimes energy out of physical forms gets in haunting mode or whatever, and messing with people, but we just look at it and we say, oh, it's nice to meet you when those energies come around. Like, cool, like I'm sending you love and light. Love and light to all life in and out and moving through all physical form. Love and light to all of us as one cosmic self. Love heals all. It's really that simple. And that's enough said from us, because silence is golden, especially when it's paired with actions that are living in the solutions for all life. Many blessings all. Love, love, love.